بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah wa ba'd. Respected brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Just a few days ago, a very important personality, a great scholar of Islam, who resided in the city of Karachi in Pakistan, Shaykh Mufti Mahmud Ashraf Usmani, rahimahullah ta'ala, may Allah have mercy on his soul, passed away. And a few people talked about him on social media, on Facebook, Twitter. Posts were being shared in relation to him. So I thought I'll just talk briefly about him because a lot of people had not heard of him. Not just the general public. Normally when it's a scholarly person, then you see that the general public don't know much about him or have never heard of him, as opposed to when someone's like a public figure, an orator especially, the public know about that person. But when it's a great scholar who is scholarly but not like a public figure, then you see that the general public don't know about him, but scholars do know about him. But this personality was such that even many scholars were unaware. Many طلاب العلم were unaware of him. Just one of my friends just a few days ago, he said, I never heard of him. I didn't know much about him, just about heard his name, and he himself is a scholar. So it's sad that this is the case, but the reason behind this was this great Shaykh, who is one of my teachers and a beloved teacher, Shaykh Mahmud Ashraf Usmani, hafidhahullah ta'ala. He was somebody who liked to be hidden. He disliked publicity. He was never on social media, on Facebook, Twitter. Very rarely you could even see his video clips on YouTube. There's a few very, selected a few copies that when he used to teach the Quran, dars of the Quran, tafsir of the Quran, they did some recordings. But he, by nature, was somebody who liked to remain hidden. But in terms of ilm and knowledge, he was at a very high level. But he disliked publicity. And therefore, upon his passing away, there has been an outpour of emotion and love. From who? From those who actually met him in person, those who studied by him. He taught and he was teaching at al-Ulum Karachi in Pakistan for many years, over 30 years. And thousands of students from across the world, not just in Pakistan, but because at al-Ulum Karachi, students travel and study there from different parts of the world. From the West, from America, Canada, UK, from African countries, from subcontinent countries, from Asia, from various parts of the world. Thousands of students have studied by him, and all of them were like in shock, were sad, were distressed, were emotional about his passing away. And this is the reason for this is because these students of knowledge and these now scholars in their own right in different parts of the world, they all came into contact with him on a one-to-one basis. They studied by him. They saw him firsthand. They saw his teaching, his character, his demeanor, his style, his ilm, his taqwa, his piety. And this is why they felt, as opposed to general scholars and tulab al-ilm and students of knowledge and the general Muslim public, because he was hidden from them. So who was this person? When his passing away was announced, people were saying the nephew of Shaykh Mufti Taqi Usmani, the nephew of Mufti Taqi Usmani. A lot of people may have thought or were thinking Mufti Taqi Usmani's nephew must be somebody in his 30s or 20s or 40s max. This was a person who was 71 years of age. He was born in 1951. So he was only about 8 years younger than Shaykh Mufti Muhammad Taqi Usmani, hafidhahullah ta'ala, despite being his nephew, because he was the son of Mufti Taqi Usmani, hafidhahullah ta'ala, his eldest brother. His eldest brother, who was actually a great poet. He has a book as well. This is the father of Mufti Mahmud Ashraf Usmani, the elder brother of Mufti Taqi Usmani, hafidhahullah. He was called Maulana Dhaki Kaifi, rahimahullah ta'ala. He has a book called Kaifiyat, a poet and a great poet, who actually passed away a year before the passing away of his own father. So who was his father? His father was Mufti Muhammad Shafi' rahimahullah, the father of Mufti Taqi Uthmani. So Mufti Shafi' rahimahullah's eldest son passed away before the father passed away. He passed away before him. So the person who I'm talking about, Shaykh Mufti Mahmud Ashraf Usmani rahimahullah ta'ala, the eldest son of Mufti Shafi' rahimahullah. Mufti Muhammad Shafi' rahimahullah was the Grand Mufti of Pakistan, the famous author of Tafsir Ma'arif al-Quran. That was his grandfather. And he actually was the first grandchild of Mufti Shafi' rahimahullah. So he spent time with his grandfather, Mufti Shafi' rahimahullah, when he was young. He actually, gave him the bay'ah of tasawwuf as well when he was young, and probably was the only person in the family, in the extended family, to do so, because it was a policy of Mufti Shafi' rahimahullah that he would not take the pledge of bay'ah, of tasawwuf, of tazkiyah from anyone in his family, because he felt that you don't really benefit. So his own sons, Mufti Taqi Uthmani, Mufti Rafi Uthmani, he told them to, go and get their, reformation and the teaching of tazkiyah and tasawwuf from other shuyukh. But his own grandson, who was Mufti Mahmud Ashraf Usmani rahimahullah, he accepted his sort of request to have his teaching done under him. So this Mufti Mahmud Ashraf Usmani, he spent time with his grandfather, and then afterwards he spent time with a lot of different shuyukh of tasawwuf as well. And then in terms of his knowledge, his study, he studied, because he used to reside in Lahore, not in Karachi, because his father used to live in Lahore. So in Lahore in Pakistan, he studied at the famous Jamia Ashrafiya in Lahore. He graduated from there. Great teachers, like for example, there's a famous great scholar, Mawlana Muhammad Idris Khan Dahlawi rahimahullah, who also wrote a tafsir called Ma'arif al-Quran, and he has a book, Ta'liq al-Sabih, which is an Arabic commentary on Mishkat al-Masabih. A great scholar. And these are all students of Hakim al-Ummah, Shaykh Mawlana Ashrafi rahimahullah, Mufti Shafi rahimahullah, Shaykh Idris Khan Dahlawi rahimahullah. So Mufti Mahmud Ashraf Usmani, he studied by many teachers, and one of his main teacher in ilm was Mawlana Idris Khan Dahlawi rahimahullah. And in tasawwuf and in tazkiyah, he had many teachers. All of them were students and successors of Hakim al-Ummah, Shaykh Mawlana Ashraf rahimahullah ta'ala. So anyway, he studied there, graduated there, and then after graduating from there, he came to Karachi and undertook the specialization of fatwa, takhassus course in Darul Karachi, under his grandfather, Mufti Shafi rahimahullah, and also his uncles, Mufti Taqi and Mufti Rafi Uthmani hafidhahullah, and some other teachers. And then after that, he actually went to Medina University, and he studied approximately a year and a half at Medina Jamia Islamiyya in Medina Munawwara, Medina Tayyiba. And he benefited from the Arab scholars. That's why his Arabic was very good as well. His pronunciation of Arabic was really amazing. And like I was saying that, I just remembered this, I should have mentioned this at the beginning, that those who came across him, they really realized his greatness. Like I was saying, only his students know. And this is why he didn't travel much. He didn't like publicity. He didn't travel across the world, different countries, people inviting him, because he's not there putting himself out on social media. He's not selling himself. There's no advertising there. So he was, very quietly teaching and working at Darul Karachi. But from the few trips he made, many years ago, about 15, 20 years ago, he actually visited Jordan, Amman. And the people in Jordan, and I know this from the people, I heard from them, the scholars, the students of knowledge. One of my friends, Shaykh Faraz Rabbani, mentioned this to me as well. And some other scholars in Jordan, Shaykh Ahmed Sanobar, and these people, they were taken aback by his level of ilm, knowledge, taqwa, piety, tazkiyah. They really felt that this is a unique individual. So whoever came across him, they realized his importance and his extreme level of knowledge, as well as piety and taqwa and tazkiyah. So he studied in Medina University, and then came back and he went to Lahore, and he taught for about 19 years in Jamia Ashrafiya, the famous madrasa in Lahore. And thereafter he moved to Karachi upon the request of his uncle uncles, both Shaykh Mufti Rafi' Uthmani and Mufti Muhammad Taqi Uthmani. He came to al-Ulum Karachi. For the past 30 years, he has been a teacher, a very successful teacher at al-Ulum Karachi. Students, if you normally ask students who've studied at al-Ulum Karachi for the past 15-20 years, and you ask who is your most favorite teacher, I would say 90% would say Mufti Mahmud Ashraf Usmani. More so than even Shaykh Mufti Taqi Uthmani Hafidhahullah, because Mufti Taqi Uthmani is Mufti Taqi Uthmani. He's been, you can't even get to see him down there, because when we was studying there, and for the past many years, one day he's in Bahrain, the next day he's in Saudi, and the next day he's going to UK, and next week is there, and he's just very busy. But Mufti Mahmud Ashraf Usmani, one-to-one with students, his love, his affection, people saw his knowledge, his piety, and his practical tarbiyah. He was very known for making tarbiyah of students, but in a very sweet, in a very calm, very gentle manner, never aggressively. And this is why students, he is known, like his title is, he's one of the most beloved teacher to the students. So he's been teaching there for many, many years, teaching various classes. And then lately, in the last few years, until this year, until he passed away, he was teaching Sahih al-Bukhari, i.e. he became the Shaykh al-Hadith of al-Ulum Karachi. Shaykh Mufti Taqi Uthmani Hafidhahullah was teaching Sahih al-Bukhari since 2001. So he taught for 4 or 5 years the full Sahih al-Bukhari. But then due to his busy schedule, he thought that he is not able to now dedicate his full time to teaching the whole Sahih al-Bukhari. So he chose and he suggested and requested to Mufti Mahmud Ashraf Usmani, rahimahullah, that you teach the second volume. So since many years he's been teaching the second volume of Sahih al-Bukhari, and his duroos of hadith, amazing. The way he teaches, the way he talks, the way he explains in a very amazing manner. And also he was a head mufti of the Darul Ifta. Darul Ifta is a very amazing section, a very high level section of Darul Ulum Karachi. And there are many muftis, and he was probably the senior most mufti at Darul Ulum Karachi in the Darul Ifta. Students would check their fatwa, their answers written, and he would sign them off. Even me, alhamdulillah, when I was studying there about 20 years ago, I had the honor and privilege. I was just looking at some of the, I was looking at my file today. I have many answers which I showed him, and he signed them off. Al-Jawab, Sahih, answer is correct, and he signed them. So many students who've studied at Darul Karachi in the Takhassus class, Takhassus fil Fiqh wal Ifta, they had their answers shown by him, and he would give advice, he would give nasiha. His tafaqquh, which means his understanding, was it was amazingly balanced. The balance that he exhibited and he had in understanding deen, no extreme to the right, no extreme to the left. He was just if somebody was to ask me how would you describe him, I would just say a man of balance. A balance in his walk, a balance in his talk, a balance in his ilm, his knowledge, his tazkiyah, his lifestyle, everything, his family life, everything. His ilm, his ibadah, you could just see balance. It's like everything, it's on its place. Exactly, he knows how much to give to who, how much time to dedicate where, how much to say when. You would realize that he's not talking more than what should be said, and he's not talking less than what he said. And he used to always have a very beautiful smile on his face, when he talks, just very calm. I think there's a clip, maybe, inshallah, you could just see this clip right now for just a few seconds. Just, a few seconds, just see the way how he talks.
ये सब मजलिस के आदाब हैं जो हमारे बुज़ुर्ग हमें सिखाया करते थे. अफसोस ये है कि अब हमारे यहाँ तालीम तो बढ़ रही है मगर तरबियत का फ़ुक़दान है. इसलिए जब आदमी बात करता है तो यही नहीं पता चलता कि ये पढ़ा लिखा आदमी है या जाहिल आदमी है. अंधाधुंध बात कर रहा होता है, बग़ैर सोचे समझे बात कर रहा होता है, और उससे ये अंदाज़ा होता है कि या तो इसकी तालीम नहीं है या इसकी तरबियत दुरुस्त नहीं हुई. इसलिए उर्दू मुहावरे को हमेशा सामने रखना चाहिए. पहले सोचो, फिर तोलो, फिर बोलो. और कुरान मजीद की जो आयत मैंने आपके सामने ज़िक्र की कि क़ूलू लिन्नासी हुस्ना, जो रेडियो पाकिस्तान का शिआर भी है, मोनोग्राम के अंदर भी लिखा हुआ है। तो ये आयत भी हमेशा सामने रखनी चाहिए कि जब बात करो लोगों से अच्छे तरीके से बात करो।
So this is the way that he would talk and converse, and a very balanced individual. And he was an author of some books as well, which he wrote in Urdu, and some of them were translated as well. There's one a very amazing book that I benefited myself from on fiqh. When he used to write very well. Sports, there's a book on sports and recreation in Islam, like the status and the rulings about sports and games and all of these things. I wrote an article once many years ago, and I based it on his book. It's in Urdu, and then it got translated into English. One of my friends who was studied with me, who used to be from Canada, he actually passed away as well in a young age, Mufti Umar Ismail. He actually was quite close to Mufti Mahmud Ashraf Usmani, and he translated the book after going back to Canada. And I think one or two other books of his have also been translated into English. So this is Shaykh Mufti Mahmud Ashraf Usmani, rahimahullah ta'ala. And also I remember that, when I was, just after I finished studying at al-Ulum Karachi, when I was studying in Syria, I had the privilege to work on and edit the famous book on Aqidah matters related to Aqidah, and we actually had a whole course on this as well, given through Darul Ifta, Al-Muhannad al-Mufannad. So what I did was I took the old Arabic edition and published it from Jordan, Darul Fath, Amman, Jordan, in a better print quality, adding footnotes and with tahqiq and takhrij. So I actually requested him to check this for me, and not just that, he checked the whole manuscript beginning to end, took corrected mistakes, gave some advices, edited a few things, and then he wrote a beautiful foreword in Arabic, which is in the front at the front of the book. I don't have the book with me here, but it's an amazing, even that foreword is so balanced. It just explains to you everything you want to know about Aqidah, like in a very balanced way. So this was something that I remember as well. And last year I visited Pakistan. Actually, we visited him. He's been ill for the last few years. He's had a heart condition. And he was telling us as well that my heart now doesn't function too much. I can't remember exactly how much percentage he mentioned. I talked about him in a book that I wrote. And this is a book, 2 Weeks in Pakistan, which a few people have already read. This book is available on our Darul Ifta website. Free of charge. You can download a e-copy of the book, but also a physical copy. You can just order it, inshallah, and just pay for postage and packaging, and the book will come. And I've talked about him. I've got about 4 or 5 pages on him in this book. So we visited him, and he was telling us that 2-3 years ago, I think 2018, his own son, Maulana Mahmud Ashraf Usmani, passed away only at the age of 38 years. He himself has got a heart condition. Imagine in that state. Maybe that also affected his heart. And it was very similar. I actually mentioned this to him. I said, he actually said, and he's actually written this as well in one of his books, that one of the greatest calamity or the difficulty, hardship in my life was when my own son, the eldest son, passed away. He was only 38. He led the janazah himself, and he buried his own son in Lahore. So I actually mentioned to him that I said, we are very, of course, sad and distressed, and may Allah give you sabr, etc. But you have a similarity with your own grandfather, because your own grandfather, Mufti Muhammad Shafi'a, rahimahullah ta'ala, the Grand Mufti of Pakistan, he had his own son pass away before him. And who was that? The father of Mufti Mahmud Ashraf Usmani. His own father passed away before his grandfather. So I said, just like that, your own son has passed away before you. And he said, yes, this similarity, alhamdulillah, is there, but there's a big difference between me and my grandfather. My grandfather was a mountain of sabr and patience. So, he could endure that, he was on a different level of sabr. So we made dua, Allah give him sabr. So this, we went to his house, we sat with him, he gave us some of his books. And recently, about 2-3 years ago, he wrote an amazing book. It's a book in Urdu. It's just some topics to do with tasawwuf, tazkiyah, ihsan, balanced explanation of tazkiyah and tasawwuf, which is, based on the teachings of Hakim al-Ummah, Shaykh Maulana Ashrafi rahimahullah, Shaykh Mufti Taqi Uthmani, Mufti Shafi rahimahullah. All these people, they have this very balanced understanding of deen. Subhanallah, it's unique. So he wrote this amazing book, and he talks about many things in there. But I just want to, in 2 minutes, mention right at the end. This is in 2000, I think, 19. Yeah? So it's about 2.5 years ago he wrote this. And he's got 2 pages right at the end. He wrote at the end of the book, he said this is like redemption, or talafiya mafat, which means, trying to redeem the past. And he wrote like a 2-page, like an apology, a wasiyah. And he said, I've sent this to all my family, friends, and I'm publishing it as well. And he said, look, today is such and such a date. I've reached 70 years of age. And he said, I was born in 1951, but today I'm 70 years. And now I'm thinking that I'm worried about my qabr and my akhirah. He said, the great scholars of the past, the Salaf, they used to start preparing when they were 40. And, people, even the hadith of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam is that he said they used to start preparing for 40. I have been given not just 40, but all the way to 70. He said, my own parents were not given much. He mentions that both his father and mother passed away at a young age. And my own son passed away when he was 38. Allah has given me such long time. Imagine, until 70 years of age. He's given me all sorts of ni'mah, but still I have not made any preparation for akhirah. Now I see my qabr before me. And I am worried about, the akhirah. And all my life, he's saying this out of humility, all my life, from morning till evening, I've just been busy in just worldly things. Subhanallah. I've just been teaching. And he called teaching as a job. Mulazamat of the madrasa. Nobody would say, I'm doing khidmah of deen. He called it, he said, I've been busy in doing mulazama, a job at a madrasa all my life. And he used to also have a business, a bookshop. He says, I've been busy in that as well, morning till night. And then when I come at night, all my life, I'm tired, and I just sleep in ghafla, no time for Allah, nothing prepared for akhirah, and I've reached 70 years of age. And then he said, when my father passed away, I had young brothers and sisters. I had to look after all of them. I'm really worried. I had to look after them, marry them off, their ta'aleem, their education. I must have been very, very sort of neglectful in fulfilling the huquq, every single brother and sister. So I'm asking forgiveness from all of you. Even my wife, my children, how many huquq of yours, the rights of yours that, my young children, they grew up, all of their rights I must have not fulfilled, how many mistakes I must have committed. Then my relatives, my in-laws, all of them, I have had connections with so many people. Then I was teaching in Jamia Ashrafiyah for 19 years. I was doing a job there. How many students studied by me, how many people, colleagues I was with. I'm sure I made so many mistakes in the huquq, the rights of my students. And then my side business for Rizq Halal, which was a bookshop, and I used to work there. How many customers and how many people I came across. I'm sure I made so many mistakes with all of them as well, my own brothers. And then he talked about all these people. He's listing all these. He said, so many, my khandan, my family is so big. I've had connections with elders, seniors, and with people my own age, and asagir, people younger than me. In 70 years, how many people I've come across, how many people's huquq, how many people I must have said something with my mouth, ghiba or backbiting, or said something in a harsh tone. I must have, I must have hurt their feelings. He said this, in some 70 years, there's so many connections of my life that now I can't even remember. But all these good and bad a'mal are all written and they've been preserved. Here I am, I can't even remember, but everything's been preserved. Every connection I had with people. So therefore, I thought that I seek forgiveness, and I write this 2-3 page letter in terms of especially the huquq and huquq, rights of other people, and collectively all these people who have rights over me, I ask them forgiveness. I ask them for that they forgive me liwajhillahi ta'ala, for Allah's sake, please forgive me, so that my qabr and my akhirah, the manzil becomes easy. My manzil, like my passing and my abode in akhirah and qabr becomes easy, and I become saved from the adhab of qabr. That's what he's saying. Therefore, with this writing, I ask all my brothers, sisters, wife, children, far close relatives, seniors, juniors, colleagues, all those people in masjid. I was an imam somewhere, so all the muqtadis, people who prayed behind me, all the teachers, students, all the people, customers, all of them that I've come into connection with, I'm asking them the following. If anyone thinks that I owe them some money, then please write to me with the details and explain to me when and how much I owe you, so that if it's possible, inshallah, I'll make sure that I'll pay that money off to you. Number two, if anyone thinks that with my mouth or with my writing or with my hand or with my demeanor, gesture, if I hurt anyone's feelings, whether it's ghiba or in any other way, and they want to take revenge, then please take revenge in this world from me. And if they don't want to, then please, for the sake of Allah, forgive me. I will really be grateful for you. And I will be thankful to you, and I will make dua for you as well. And then number three, he says that I really need your du'as for maghfirah, that Allah makes my qabr, my akhirah, my hereafter easy. That's why I request everyone to make dua of maghfirah for me. And whenever you read this and you think of me, then just make this dua. Oh Allah, have mercy on him. Oh Allah, forgive him. Oh Allah, oh Allah, have mercy on him, and oh Allah, forgive his sins. If you do that, then you will do a great favor on me, and inshallah your reward is with Allah. أفقر العباد إلى رحمة الله تعالى, the most needy slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, needy slave of the mercy of Allah, Mahmud Ashraf, غفر الله له, may Allah forgive him, 13th April 2019. This also teaches us what kind of person he was, and also teaches us that this is something that we should also think about writing and having and keeping. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive him and elevate his status, grant him Jannah, paradise, be well pleased with him, and reward him greatly for all the services he did for the Muslims, and may Allah have mercy on his soul. I end with this. Jazakumullahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.